Hello and welcome to another episode of Section D. We're here at Blacklemore Barbers in Brighton, and today in the chair we have Jack Charles, a touring sound engineer.
Hey.
What are we doing with your hair then, bro?
I mean, you always cut it well, mate. I think it's like a 2 on the back and sides and just kind of chop it up in the top, just take a little bit of length off.
Some texture.
Yeah.
All right, man, so let's start this off by you telling us how you went from working in venues around Brighton to eventually becoming a touring sound engineer for people like Loyle Carner.
Cool. So I guess right at the beginning, did a few years worth of college education, studying music and live sound, and was really keen on live sound mixing. While I was in college, I started working in venues, namely the Concord. That was really good for me. I mean, that place is amazing. As a thing to aim for, working in that venue was like the pinnacle, I guess, of music in the city. I was in college and I was working in some other venues around town, lots of small places. And after a few years of doing that and kind of getting to know the people that run, live sound in Brighton and some of the PA companies, and I eventually got a way in at the Concord.
And you were probably like, I'm set now for life.
Yeah. As a 19-year-old, I was like, I've done it. I stayed put for a number of years in that venue. Like once they opened that door to me, I did everything to make myself available to work there and kind of establish a good relationship with them. When I was really young and like hungry for it, I would pretty much work every gig there was. I'd work every hour of the day, all the club nights, I'd work all the shows I could get my hands on. So you kind of become that guy from that place, Sure. I was Jack from the Concord for a long time, and after some time, established some good relationships with these touring crews, and sure enough, people would kind of call you up and go, oh, can you cover me on this gig? I've got some shows that I can't do, we need someone to fill in. Fast forward the clock a little bit, years of that went on where I've worked for local bands or kind of entry-level touring bands that are doing small tours, and I really got addicted to that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And again, all the while, the venue, the Concord, kind of supported me doing that. They were really cool with me leaving for weeks or months at a time. At some point, I started working for Tom Mish. I stuck with him for quite a while. I think I worked with Tom for, I guess it was a little under 5 years. He was probably the first bigger artist that I was working with. I had a really long track record. Yeah. We had a really great relationship. And through Tom's music, there's a lot of features or, guests, collaborators on his music. And one of those was Loyle Carner. And there's also people like Jordan Rakai, FKJ, who I've been touring with now for the last couple of years as well. You do it multiple times, build up a rapport. They're like, oh, who's that guy over there? He did a good job, I like him.
All right, man, so what's it like working with artists of that level? Do they kind of let you crack on and do your thing, or do they guide you in a way that is, set more towards their preferences of sound and stuff like that?
It really depends on the person and the artist themselves. So when we're talking about sound engineering, you've got a couple of different types of sound engineering. And then in live sound, so touring, concerts, there's generally 2 main sound engineers. What we call a front of house engineer, who's the guy in the audience mixing for the audience. And then there's a monitor engineer, which is what I have been doing with most of these artists I've been mentioning, like Tom and Loyle. And so a monitor engineer is someone who mixes all of the either wedges or in-ear pieces that the artists are wearing on stage so they can hear themselves play and perform. So when I'm mixing, I'm not doing one mix, I'm doing multiple for as many people that need them on the stage.
Sure.
So each of those people will have a different set of requirements.
Right.
A lot of the time these days, people let me kind of come in, dial in my mixing and my kind of style and flavour of mixing.
Yeah.
And if they want to make adjustments, they'll ask. I've been doing it a long time. I think I get it kind of close to what people want. Mostly first time, I'd like to think.
Yeah, man. Well, you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I don't want to blow my own trumpet.
No, mate, blow that trumpet, bro.
No, and like I say, most of the time, if you can just give them a really nice nice balance mixed with themselves and the instruments they're playing just a little bit louder than everything else.
Yeah.
They're able to play really well, and they'll look at me and they'll, tell me it's good, and if there's any changes they need to make, then they'll ask. I've not had anyone throw anything at me or scream at me or tell me I suck or anything like that for a long time now.
Sick.
So that gives me a bit of confidence in what I'm doing.
Well, honestly, if it was me and I was performing, I think I'll be in my head about like what I'm doing, my performance, and just trust that you were going to do your thing,
Again, as a professional monitor guy, it's my job to give you more than what you just need, is to make it nice.
All right, man, so seeing as it's the start of the year, 2024, let's talk about looking forward. Is there anything about touring that is going to change, do you think? Is there anything that you'd like to change? And what does your future look like in touring for the next couple of years?
So, what's going to change? I guess for me, probably quite a lot as I'm getting older. Got a son and a partner to think about. So now for me, I'm trying to pick and choose the gigs that I do a little better, rather than just saying yes to everything that comes my way. And I can tell that like in the next, let's say 10 years, I'm probably going to try and make some kind of exit strategy, because touring is, for the most part, a young man's game. Unless you get like a legacy artist, like the Rolling Stones, who they've probably got a lot of original crew members on there if they're still alive. I guess that leads me on to kind of future prospects, I guess, which is, I'm trying to start my own company with some friends of mine. We're still deciding exactly what avenues we're going to try and push it down, but we've got a pretty good plan, and like I say, they're people I trust. I know they're the right people to create a company and a business with, in hope that over the next 5 to 10 years it takes off, and maybe that is a way out of touring for me. Still, predominantly a music company, a touring company, but it might not mean that I'm on the road so much if I'm able to stay home and run this business along with my colleagues. So for me, I think they're the obvious changes that are going to happen in my kind of foreseeable future. But as for the industry as a whole, it's bounced back a lot since COVID.
Amazing.
There was
great to hear.
There was a point in my life where I thought it was all over.
Did you really think that?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Man.
When it first happened, the government were like, 3 months off for everyone and we'll all be back to work. But that didn't pan out that way.
2 years later.
We were probably the first kind of industry to shut down and one of the last ones to get back up on its feet. I think people are starting to be a bit more conscious about what they're doing to the planet, the way people are traveling, because let's not pretend like we're a very ecological industry. We use planes, trains, buses, trucks to get everything around. I think artists are definitely swaying towards trying to make things a bit healthier, a bit more sustainable, and figuring that out is the next kind of part of the game, really, because there seems to be an appeal to that in the industry.
From artists and people who work in the industry?
I definitely think there's a lot of artists out there that are becoming aware of what impact it's having. The industry is probably going to continue the way it is for a good while, but that will be a big part of what changes in the future.